Hi everyone, very good morning. Welcome back to ITOM batch 3 day 19. How are you doing guys today? How was your weekend?
Yeah, it
Very
was
good.
Good. Good. Good to hear. So I think then let's get started. So before starting again, I just want to ask you guys, do you have any questions, any topic which you want to be discussed on the first place before starting the next topic today? No, right? So let's get started then.
Hello, Jay.
Sorry? Yes, Pratikan.
Yeah, I'm not asking anything. Anyone, any
Your
other
voice is not audible.
club leaders.
So your voice is breaking for me and not audible. Guys, are you able to hear me?
We can hear you, Ajay.
Yes, yes.
So Pratikant, you are asking something.
No, Ajay, I'm not asking anything. Ekalabi is asking something.
Okay, no issues. I think then let's get started. Let me share my screen. Let me know once my screen is visible to you guys. So let me do one thing meanwhile. So what I did just now for that particular discovery schedule.
Hello, Jay. Your voice is not audible.
So guys, it's for everyone or it's of only for Eclavia?
It's audible, Ajay.
Eclavia. Is this audible Eclavia now? Archana, Siva, are you able to hear me? Loud and clear?
Yes, Ajay, you are audible.
Okay. Eclavia, I think then there is some issue from network side. Okay. So what I'm trying to say earlier, if you see, just before I just now active through those particular Windows credentials, and why I just put it false to showcase you one discovery issue, or which is common discovery issues basically if your credentials are not correct or if your credentials are not available in ServiceNow instance, right? So last time we discussed about the four phases of the discovery. Now let's discuss about that credential issues and what things and how we are going to be identify that particular things in the discovery side, right? So when your credentials are not active or not available in ServiceNow, or not correct for that particular device, you will see everything is triggered, right? Like Sesam probe is triggered, the port is found, and based on that, WMI classify is going to be triggered, and they are also found port related to HTTP and VMware Center Cloud Probe as well, right? But they have tried with all the credentials which is available here, and all the credentials are not correct. So just remember the one thing: whenever your discovery is going to be stuck, with classification, and you will see that error in completed activities, active could not classify, no WMI connection, or active could not classify. That means it's 95% it's a credential issue. So what you have to do in that case, first just go check the credentials, test the credentials. If you know your credential testing working from ServiceNow instance, just try to log in sometimes from mid server, go to mid server and try to mid server means basically Windows server, and try to take the RDP or SSH of that particular device which you are trying to discover and where you are getting that particular error, right? And also here on the issues on the side as well, you are able to see no credentials found for type Windows, no credential found for this and this, right? Here in discovery logs, you are able to see the same informations, right? So if I just let me put in different way, yeah. So if you see it's active now classifying, and the first happens for the WMI runner, it's saying active could not classify, no connections, no WMI connection, now finished, right? Then it's trying to no credentials find for type Windows, then it's try to HTTP classify probe, and it's try to VMware as well, right? So means they found the port, the things is done on the first place, they triggered the Shazam probe is triggered and found the port, but that credentials not found. And this is one of the error which is coming most of the time for Windows. So don't be confused. If it is going to be happen in the classification phase, that means there is no credential. That means there is credential issue. Also, one more error which is coming most of the time for Windows devices is access denied. Here you can see active could not classify, access denied, and there are some code available, right? So just to troubleshoot related to that particular issues, or if you want to see that particular, if you are getting access denied, that cannot be a single credential issue, right? In that case, as I already mentioned, you have to check the RPC services, you have to check the decomports, you have to check the credentials, or sometime add access on the credentials as well, right? So these are the 4 or 5 things which you have to be checked. If you are getting error, active could not classify, credential issue, but if you're getting access denied, that means you have to be checked that couple of things to be troubleshoot that particular thing, right? And most of the things what I found major times it's decomport issues where data communication ports are not open, or the access on the particular credentials. Sometimes some machines are designed in that way that that's not working with the local admin credentials, so might be required more than some access on those particular machines. Someone is pinging, what moment? Oh, still that voice is not working for Eclavia. It's strange. That's not the case. Eclavia, let me just type. Eclavia, can you unmute yourself and speak something? If required, I can rejoin as well, right? So let me do one thing, same thing. Let me rejoin. Let me stop the sharing and let me rejoin. Thank you. Thanks for reminding me.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So recording has been started, right? So what I'm trying to mention, how you are going to identify from where what pattern is triggered and what is the kick point for that particular pattern, right? So somehow everything is configured here in that way. If something you are trying to discover, something you are going to be do that is going to be happen every in step by steps basically, right? So if I type here Windows, I'm just picking any random one, this one. So this is my CI classifications. There are two type of classifications. Don't be confused. One is CI classifications, or we can say the OS based classifications, which is happening based on the OS or based on that, on the hardware or the CI, right? Second classifications is there is that we called application classification, or that, that is going to use the process classifications basically. And that will happening based on the applications or the process running on that particular machine, right? So that's there are two things based on that things will be going to be classified and going to be create on that particular tables based on the credentials match. So if you see here, this is the classifications which is going to trigger the criteria here to be matched. That classification is VIP is false, name contains 2019, and OS full name contains server. And if these three conditions is going to be matched, these are the trigger point to trigger that particular patterns, right? So if you see here, there are four patterns basically which is mentioned on that particular server, which is going to be triggered if the condition is going to be matched, right? So in identification phase, if you see this particular going to be triggered horizontal discovery probe, horizontal pattern, which is triggering that my Windows OS server pattern. And exploration phase, that is going to be triggered multi-probe Windows ADM, WMI runner Windows install software, or ADM enhanced. ADM is nothing, is ADM is application dependency mapping, which is just trying to get more informations or more application relationships with other CIs and other machines basically, right? That's ADM do. And install software, it's trying to capture the install software. If I go here again and just refresh to be see it's completed, right? Yeah. Here, so if you see, once my pattern is launched, pattern Windows OS server pattern is launched, that multi-pro Windows application dependency mapping is launched, then WMI software is launched. And when then they are triggering that, Windows application dependency and all, the same time pattern launch for IIS. And how the pattern is launched for IIS, that is comes in process classification. I'll just quickly showcase you this one as well. Process is, I think, yeah, this one, CI classification under that process is, right? So if I type here star IIS, see, and how that is going to be identified, that is going to be identified based on that application dependency mapping, right? So once they are triggering the application dependency mapping, they found this particular condition is matched, right? So command contains svc host.exe, key parameter contains this, and that is going to be classified that some Microsoft IIS web server is running on that machine. And if that is, find out that is running on that machine, then they will trigger a pattern, which is again from discovery, horizontal discovery probe. The pattern is IIS, right? So that is going to be triggered. If you see, that is the same thing happen here as well, right? So have everything happening in the ServiceNow discovery is, there are some kick points or there are some pushing point to trigger something, and that's configured in that step by step way. It's not possible keep identification phase will be triggered before the classification, or the exploration phase will triggered before the classification or identification, right? That will be triggered in that step by step. And also apart from in exploration phase, it sometimes can be possible like Windows WMI installed before that ADM and all that, because there is no uh, steps mentioned, or there is no hierarchy configured in that way. But if that is going to be triggered, that it's trying to collect the more information on that machine, and that we call the exploration, where we are going to be explore that machine. If you see earlier when I mentioned, if your credentials not work, the discovery is failed. Credentials is there, but what I did, I just active false those particular credentials, and that's why that this machine is not discovered. Now that's discovered, we are able to see that informations, and discovery logs is also perfectly showcasing each and everything. Now one more thing, if you just want to check the discovery logs where and what's failing, right, just quickly check, just want to be get a glimpse of it, right? So just click on the CI patterns, which is this, click here. If I click here, that is going to be open in this. I just, and we process ID is 3520, right? So let me open this one, and meanwhile this is opening, let me go to patrons. Let's close this, close this, close this. Okay, if you see, everything is green except yellow. So yellow or red means that particular steps is yellow, means that particular steps don't have any data. Particular steps has been missed or not completed due to some any access issues or something, right? So if you see, all is green here except this particular yellow one. And if I go to this, you can see this particular, they just try to execute some WMI query on this particular host with this particular informations, and they found error during execution of Windows command this from due to expectation exceptions, invalid command exception execute, could not get query, select this invalid namespace, right? So they are getting some invalid namespace informations, and that's why it's not perfectly able to get the informations from MS cluster resources, right? So if it is not able to get that one, or if namespace is some issue is there, means that some configuration is missing, which is out of the box configuration required, and that's why it's not able to process further. So that's, if in simple word, if someone asks me, Ajay, is this an error? No, it's not an error basically, right? It's just a step which is going to be failed, that's it, right? The same way, get cluster resource mapping from the MS cluster resources, this is the same, right? Apart from that, all are get virtualization computer systems from this. So everything is going to through WMI queries on this particular IPs using the namespace and all other things. But that particular commands and that particular things which is configured here, it's not triggering because that is not matching the conditions whatever we have written here. So that's why it's just failing, and it's not capturing that particular informations, but it's not an issue. It's not impacting my discovery anyhow. Whatever I want to be discovered, that's discovered and populated to my CMDB, right? And the same here is just want to showcase you, like we Windows OS information, CPU, and all, right? Also, if you see that P pattern, I identification, E extension, S step, so this is particular steps which is mentioned here, right? What did payload scripts, payload post processing scripts, right? So this particular thing, it just give you the glimpse about how my pattern is triggered and is able to collect that informations whatever we required basically for the discovery, right? The same way, if I go to this one, see, this is for my IIS. The two things which is, you can see the red identification for HTTP entry point and this this has been not completed because that condition is completely not matched and not processed, right? And only the last one is triggered and which is able to collect the informations for IIS server. If I go to the IIS servers, there are different entry points and different things will be configured to collect or to discover that particular machine is in the different way, right? Because that IIS is not a OS, an application which is running on that machine. So, while we are going to be in pattern configuration, I will showcase you how that is different from normal patterns, basically, right? So there are, I think, let me go to now. I think this is the time to go to pattern table. There are different type of patterns available in service now. We always say pattern, but there are different type of patterns, right? So one pattern is application. Second pattern is shared libraries. Shared libraries are generic patterns and which is going to be extended or used by the other main patterns. Other is infrastructure and the last is cloud resource and cloud discovery patterns, basically, right? Now how it's different, if I open star IIS just to showcase you quickly, there are two patterns, IIS and IIS virtual discovery. Let me open the IIS and the same time let me open the Windows. So which anyone remembers which pattern for Windows is triggered here? Windows OS Server. We can check it the name here, Windows OS Server, right? Whenever if you are going to be stuck in this particular pattern steps, right? Don't be afraid. Again, go to open this particular pattern. You can debug the complete pattern from here itself as well. Okay, so here, if you see, this is the identification section of that particular pattern. But if I open this one, there are three type of entry points I mentioned, right? So it's checking on which entry point that condition is going to be matched for that application pattern, and based on that, they are processing. So if you, as I you is if you are able to see that identification for HTTP entry point type for IS 6 second logic, the entry point can be this, right? And this is for entry point for IIS 6 only. Entry point is this. Identifications for this, the IIS 7 and above, entry point is this. And whatever conditions and whatever the section is going to be matched from identification section, that will be triggered here and that will be showcasing you. I'm not able to somehow, it's not able to extend and just to here if you see that IIS second logic and IIS is not matched that conditions or the entry point type details, and that's why that's skipped, and only this last one identifications for HTTP entry point for IIS 7 and above is matched and completed, right? So again, don't be thinking that is some issue here. It's just only the conditions or the identification sections they have mentioned for entry point for application that not matched completely, and that's why that's showcasing red only, right? And if you see I, whatever I means identification section on it, and whatever S is steps under that, right? E, if you see the E is some extension section which is comes from here. ah, Sorry, E is here extension section as well, right? You can see here, same here for Windows machine or Windows OS server type of devices. Now let me ask you one thing from you guys. You have a requirement where your customer says you have to be discover some more attribute on Windows machine which is not possible from out of the box pattern. What your approach will be, guys? How you are going to do that? Anyone, any idea, anything? No? Guys, I'm audible, I hope, to everyone. Are you able to hear me, guys?
Yes, Ajay,
Yeah,
we
Ajay.
are able to hear you.
Why you're not responding? Okay, if you don't know, don't worry. Just say we don't know, right? So let me tell you uh, that I always suggest to everyone, don't don't modify or don't customize the existing pattern. The first thing, if you have any requirement like your customer is required to do some more attribute which is not possible from out of the box discovery, there are two ways to do that, right? The one thing is you can modify the existing pattern, and whatever the steps you want to add, you can add it, right? But avoid that, don't do that. Don't customize out of the box pattern. If you want to do the simple, just copy the existing pattern, deactivate the existing pattern, and whatever you copied, just go and modify that particular one, right? So how it's going to be help you if you are going to do any upgrade or anything related to ServiceNow, and if ServiceNow is going to be modified in the pattern side, that will not impact your pattern discovery or your discovery, right? So you can do that, right? But that's what is the best way to do that. If you have only small requirements where two or three attributes required by the customer, so don't modify the complete custom pattern. Just simply go here on that existing pattern of the OS servers or the application, right? Whatever you want to do, and just create extension section on it, right? So I will in the next classes will showcase you how you can create extension section and how you are do. But just a requirement, if you have a requirement like to discover something which is not possible from the out of the box pattern, go and create an extension section. So that can example is like customer is looking for power on off time for that machine of Windows, right? So why do you want to be modify the existing pattern? Just go and run the WMI query, whatever and here again one more thing, it's everything is not on us. We know like Windows machine using the WMI query, SSH is using the SSH queries, SNMP is using the SNMP queries. The things we just need to be determined and things we need to be asked from the customer directly. Sir, I need to run a WMI query to get that information. Can you help me out? What WMI query I need to write to get the power log or power on and off details from your machine? So they will definitely going to be share Windows admin should know about that what is a WMI query and how you are able to get it. Just grab that information from that customer and just write in your pattern. Simple. There's nothing hard logic on it, right? And only the thing is logic is that how you are grabbing that information in the pattern and how you are going to be map that particular informations into the pattern again, right? So that need to be understand. Apart from that, everything is looks good. Only the steps will be done, and after once we have any creating any patterns or modifications, what we can do as well, we can also, we have to be always remember that patterns should be sync with mid servers, right? So if I just to showcase you, this is the basic things I'm just trying to mention. So when we are going to be start the customizing pattern, you should aware about it, what we have to do, right? So if you see here, if I remove the contains name, there are two ways to do the pattern sync with the mid servers, and that should always follow if you are modifying or if you are creating any connection section or extension section or the new pattern in the service now, right? So that should be synced with mid server, right? If I click here on any pattern, you can see, and when I go here, let me click this one. Yeah, so you can select any pattern and you can synchronize with mid server. This is the one way to do that. And the second from mid server itself, right? So if I go to mid server, here as well, right? So if you select again any mid server, whatever mid server you want to sync with the patterns, and you can see the pattern sync to the mid, right? So that is a couple of times takes some time, and sometimes we have to take the mid server restart. So don't worry if your pattern, whatever you have configured, it's not running. Just take the restart of the mid servers and do couple of time patterns into the mid and just wait for a couple of minutes or couple of hours, and that will work. Sometimes I face that particular challenges, but I have not find any permanent fix solution on it. What is the causing behind that? I'm just still trying to figure out, right? But if it is the case, if your pattern, you are very sure that whatever the pattern you have configured or extension section you have configured, that's correct, don't worry, just wait for a couple of hours or just take a restart of your mid servers, right? So any questions till now? First of all, like whatever I covered related to the patterns, there are 4 types of patterns. Always remember that. Also, this particular question also comes in the discovery CIS exam as well. What is the difference between application pattern and CI, CI hardware pattern basically? So we just need to understand that one as well. Any questions first of all?
Hi Ajay.
Yes.
Ajay, just now I shared, a few minutes back, I shared one image. Can you? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What does it mean? Actually,
Oh, okay, it's clear. Mm-hmm. So
Actually,
what is saying?
this is the error. Yeah, this is the error which I seen in my, organization. They have a lot of, pattern errors, which is part of network something they mentioned, network dictionary. What
Mm-hmm.
exactly?
So what identification section in the pattern failed section, discovery error, match step, predicate is not matched, failed condition, CMDB serial number, this value is not empty, this is, and this is happening for network switch or network routers basically, right? So what I assume now, again, because I'm not God, but based on that particular error, what can be the cause, right? And what I'm going to be troubleshoot on the first place to get that more informations, right? First of all, what I do, I will try to understand is that serial number is coming or populating through the discovery or not. Point number one. Point number two, what I'm going to check the identification rules for that particular machine, and if that looks good to me and still that error is there, it's impacting something, what I do, I will open that particular discovery pattern and just try to troubleshoot step by step on this particular serial number step, right? So I just opening this particular discovery pattern. Let me open this one.
Ajay, I have a question here. How do
Mhm.
we know that, like, is that particular pattern is failing, and like where exactly we can check? Because this
So
is
that's
the error which I shared you. I can see on the cloud discovery workspace. In the cloud discovery workspace, they mentioned the list of errors and error codes and error list. From the error list, I
Mhm.
took these things, and how should I assume? How should I identify that where which pattern is failing?
right. So it's it's already mentioned which pattern
Okay.
is failing. You can see, you can able to get the information from discovery logs, but what is mentioned, identification section in pattern fail.
Mm.
So identifications, where identification comes in the discovery patterns, right? Now,
Yep.
like I assume basically on this particular log, because this is not the complete log, it's showing IP CMDB IP switch, right? This is a network device, and what is the issue here? Its condition is not going to be matched for the serial number and the serial number type, where the value is empty, right? So value should not be empty and that should be populated something. That's the issue here, right? So what I am just trying to mention, if you see like here, I just, oh, what is this? Let me refresh again. Okay, so meanwhile, here, if you see, this is my logs, right? If my pattern is going to be failed, I will see that information here. So I can see that identification is failed or something is failed. Also, the pattern names is visible here, right? So what simply I do, I will copy this particular go to the discovery pattern, open the identification section on it, and we'll go to the debug mode, right? So here I'm just going to be debug mode. I'm first what I need to do for if I'm normal, doing troubleshooting or normal debugging of the pattern is need to use the mid server through which discovery is triggered, right? So here if I go, I can see that mid server as well, right? Which mid server is going to use here. See, agent mid server.itom training, right? So I will go here, select that itom training mid server, select the IP on which I just want to do the troubleshootings or debugging, and will connect it, right? And I will try to, and I will go to verify step by step. Now the machine, that machine which I'm going to be, I'm facing issue that is connected through my mid servers in ServiceNow discovery patterns, right? If I just go here, so these are the basically steps which is configured or which is available in a discovery pattern. So somewhere that one step is also available related to that as well, right? For which where this particular condition is not matching, like CMDB serial number one dot value is not empty. This is right where that can be available, and how you can check this one. Simply, I'm just going there. Okay, let me close this. See, so this is the some steps on Windows Server. Trim CMDB serial number. Insert serial number to the CMDB CI Windows Server. Reference between serial number and so this is something related to the serial number, right? I will go here. Let me complete this one again. See, so the condition at your side is same, is like that only. So what they are doing transform table condition is meet all these conditions, right? If any condition is fail below that, that will not proceed further. So if condition is true, then only doing the source and target. It's just like if and else, right? If you're writing a Java script, if you're putting if this is this, then do this, right? So what they are doing, this they are trying to, and how you can test that one. Just click on the test, and if you're getting the results, that means that step is passing perfectly and working fine. There is no issue on it. If you are failing, that means there is some issue on it, right? So if you see insert chassis type to CMDB CI Windows Server test finished successfully, what chassis type you are getting? Other. So that's other, whatever the chassis types that you are getting here, that is going to be entered there, right? If I go to the serial number, just one moment. What they are doing here, trim CMDB serial number. They are source where they're getting the serial number. This is just variables. Don't be confused with that, right? And the target under this variable, what they are doing, target serial number, they are just putting some script here to be trimmed that particular one, right? If I test here, to populate the correct serial number basically, right? So if you see, you're getting this particular informations, these internal namespace is there, serial number is there, they are getting 3 serial numbers basically when they are doing that particular command, right? They are getting name, and you are able to see that from which type the serial number belongs to. It belongs to BIOS or computer system or whatever, right? So you are able to get that information, and now in the next steps they are trying to pull the serial number from here, right, and inserting to that Windows WMI Windows Server table basically, right? So everything is going to be configured in step by step. If you are getting that type of errors, that it just only need to troubleshoot with, as I mentioned, the 3 things. What I always prefer to do to check the first of all that errors in the discovery logs. I will go and check the identification sections things, because identifier things will be there. And the third is I'm going to be troubleshoot or debug with the pattern basically, right? And how I am going to be debug that particular things basically, because all informations is available in the discovery logs itself. If you have any issue, which pattern is triggered, where it's failing, if it is, as I just quick couple of minutes back mentioned, if it's failing on sesam prop, like you are getting not reachable host, active not alive, alive not active, mid-server is not able to reach this particular host, no result returned from probe, and it's not moving after Sesam probe. It's simple port or firewall policy issue. Close your eyes and just send to the information to the network teams. I'm not able to do that. Open the firewall policies, right? Then if you are going to be stuck in WMI classification, WMI classifier, as I mentioned, 95% that will be a credential issue. 5% that can be an access issue, or decompose issues for Windows 1. If classification not happening in SNMP phase, SNMP classification phase, that can be SNMP OID issues, right? So there are different, but in 95% in generic, if I say, if you are getting active could not classify like this earlier one, right? It just an credential issue. Close your eyes and go and send it to that information. Third, if these two are going to be passed and that's going to be stuck here on that identification sections, thing again, identifications, what identifications do, it's doing identifications to identify that particular device, it's available or not. How? Through identifier entries and other things, right? So just go and check that particular information based on the error, just debug that particular pattern. And sometimes I also do, if something is going to be matched up, right? I will, in dev instance, first of all, if that particular CI is already available, I will go deleting that complete CI, deleting the all relationships, and then again going to be discover, or then again going to be trigger a fresh discovery of that particular CI, and then I will see what log says basically, and then the debug mode and debug things will be working for that particular particular pattern basically. So that's particular things which we have to be follow, which steps we have to be follow. I hope I'm able to help you, Mastan, to get some clarity on it and how you can troubleshoot further.
Ajay, I have one more question. From the screenshot which I shared, I can see host IP, right? From the host IP, can we check which to identify which discovery status? Is that possible?
Sorry, come again.
No, what I'm saying is from the host IP, the given on the screenshot I mentioned, right? Can we able to find out which discovery status is that?
Discovery status. I'm
Yeah.
not getting.
No,
Means
we have a status is there, right? Which is you're showing earlier.
Right. This one.
Yeah, this one, right? Can we able to identify for the based on the host IP, the error we can find out from like this is a discovery status like that? Can we?
Yes, yes. There are two things which depends on it, right?
Okay.
First of all, you need to be identify through which or how the discovery is triggered, right? So if a discovery is triggered from discovery schedule, the discovery status is created. If discovery is triggered quickly, then you can also find out that one, right? So if I go to status discovery under that, but there for the quick discovery there is no way to find out on which on this particular IP that particular discovery status is triggered, right? But if you know the discovery schedule, you can find out that informations easily in your discovery status table, right? So when I'm going to be run any discovery for any schedule, that will be coming as a discovery schedule here, right? So it schedules one, right? And I can see the name of the schedule as well. Right. So what I need to do, I need to open that particular discovery status for that schedule, and I can get that informations about it, about the logs, about the things. Like, let me showcase you quickly.
One thing, Jay, before the, can you open the before one? Discovery list.
Sorry.
Can you, yeah, before one, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Here you are trying to checking with the schedule name and created by and discovery the same way. Is it possible to check with host IP?
No, there is no way to do through the host IP.
Okay.
Right, there is nothing related to like that attribute. That's why I'm mentioning, quick discovery is something like, see, I just did quick discovery 2 minutes or 20, it just, see here, but there is nothing because it just quick discovery you did on that particular IP, right? But if that particular discovery is triggered through some discovery schedules, that IP this particular IP belongs to this particular discovery schedule, and you can open the discovery schedule and you are able to see the whole information about that one, right? So as I mentioned, you are able to see the device detail, ECCQ and discovery logs, but that should be triggered from discovery schedule, and it's very hectic to know what and from where which discovery it's triggered. If you know the discovery schedule, that's easy, right? That's why I'm saying what I will do, or what I will prefer, if you are know that is error which we are getting on couple of machines, and that's doing our life is hell, right? So what, simply go and do the quick discovery on couple of IPs, just try to check the latest log. That can be possibility sometimes, we are referring this particular table. Let me, I think you are referring also the same one, but how that discovery workspace is going to be do, that's coming from here. If discovery home, yeah, if you go here, this is discovery result homepage table basically. Let me open this one, and here the all discovery schedules comes and bifurcated based on that credentials or router, or the network policy, whatever, right? So that's going to be bifurcated, and that I feel this particular one is good to refer it, but it's not that much correct. If you see, there is no error because we have not done anything like that, but if errors is there, you can see the errors from here, right? So what we have did, we have discovered 12 devices in one location, cloud service account schedules we have already configured one, right? But there is nothing error. So if the errors is there, if I click on the errors, I can go little bit inside on it, and that's bifurcating based on credentials, it on firewall policies, that's on pattern, that's on extension sections, and so on, right? So this particular information, but it's always not correct because that is going to be update based on your discovery schedules or the discovery things, right? So if your discovery is running 24 hours back or 1 week later, that's not updated now. It's sometimes issue, actual issue is not there if you run the quick discovery and that particular time and see if something is there or not, right? If it is not there, then it's fixed. If it is there, then you can identify what is the actual issue, why it's facing, and doing or finding out to the discovery schedule, complete discovery schedule. If you have lots of IPs, that is little tricky to find out the exact log for that, right? So here, if you see, I open the discovery schedule, where it is, this one, I think, yeah. If you see, I think I just run for one machine here, and I'm able to find out the all information related to one machine. But if I have 1000 machine on one discovery schedule, logs will be thousands, right? Device will be again thousands, and discovery logs again, lots of things there, right? So it's little hectic to find out. What I do, what I think, like if my device, I can see what device is discovered, which is discovered, I am okay with that, right? If it is not discovered, I will try to find out that particular IPs. Like let's take an example, this is not discovered, right? I will go in the discovery logs here, and because it's not discovered because basically that machine is not active that time, right? This one. But if I just need to be find out, I can see the logs here, right? I can just search this one. Let me click on this one. Why it's not searching? I can search on the source as well. I can go to the discovery logs. I can search in the device as well, or the source as well, that or the CI as well. So I can find out something from there. Just need to be figured out only. I hope you are getting it.
Okay. And
Right?
as you mentioned that we can see the errors on the result homepage, right? And just now I opened, I can see
Discover
network as sorry,
Discovery Home.
yeah, discovery home, and
Mhm.
there I can see network kind of issue stating that failed to establish SSH connection, which is
Yes.
operating system is Unix.
Hmm.
And when I open one record, I can see the message cannot connect. Status is TCP connection failure. Failed to connect TCP, and
Hmm.
connection refused. No further information. Like that, I can see the message. I mean, what does it exactly? Why?
It's describing it's a network connection error. It means that there's no, that connection is not working with that target machine from the mid server on port 22 on SSH. Just
Okay.
go, just go to the mid server, do telnet or ping on that machine and just check is this working? You will find out.
If we don't use telnet, I mean, like we don't have telnet and port query, is any alternate way, like with using PowerShell commands? Any?
Hmm.
Do you have
I Go ahead.
do you have any PowerShell commands for that, like to test?
That's Linux machine, right? You mentioned.
Unix operating system. Unix operating system.
PowerShell will not work for that, right? So
Okay.
in that, if you don't have, like that port query and all, I don't think there is something, but you can check with directly network team in that case, right? So
Okay.
I think this is the IPs which I'm getting this particular one. Can you check and confirm is the port is open or not? Right. That's why, that's why I always says whenever we are working on a customer, we should be ready with our things, right? Like, if you are going to be fight or if you are going for any, what can I say, our war, you should be prepared with your, weapons, right? The same thing if we are going to be implement something for the customer in the discovery or so whatever, we should be ready with our requirements. That is something which I need to work on it, right? So telnet is something basics command which is required to check the connectivity, the first step, right? If it is not, then you should ask your customer to do it, or just go with the port query or whatever they have.
Okay, Ajay. Sure. And Ajay, is there any internal error? Internal is also is a different part, like how it is, Ajay.
Internal means.
I can see here internal error comes something. It is a errors category.
Just open it. What is
Yeah, I open that. I can see that unexpected error and operating system Unix server.
No, I think it's nothing
Okay.
something like that, right? So, Ajay, one more thing in Discovery Homes, whatever the error is showcasing you now,
Hmm.
50-60% are not updated correctly.
Oh,
Not updated correctly means because that are long back errors, which is while you run the discovery and you see, but if you use the same IP to discover now, it might be it's working completely. Right? There is no error. There is nothing like
got it.
that. But that is
Got it.
not with discovery home errors, and that's why you're able to see that errors is there. So if you open that particular error, there is three things basically: retry discovery or remove or ignore that particular error. So just do it from right away from there, retry discovery of that particular machine or that error, right? You will see that if it is done, that error will be also removed from there immediately if the machine is just discovered successfully or there is no error on it, right?
Okay, Ajay.
Discovery home basically just give you complete view on your discovery errors basically.
I got it.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions from anyone? guys? Okay, so I will tell you tomorrow. I think we'll going to be start the CI, sorry, first classification things. We are going to be start the custom patterns first of all, that for application pattern, and then we'll start for the extension sections. So, little bit go through the pattern things and all, and that, what the queries you can ask related to that, right? So we'll do
Ajay,
that.
have one more question, Ajay. Habit confusion. See here in my cloud discovery workspace, I
Mhm.
can see the configurations. When I click on the configurations bar, I can see IP switch, network switch, pattern failures. So suppose if I don't have knowledge on the I don't know which schedule is run and which I mean based on the errors, then how should I know that which schedule caused this error from the cloud workspace? How should I, or else should I go with the quick discovery by using the host IP, or is there any alternate any other way to
Okay,
check that?
so let's hold here. Cloud discovery is working in something different way as compared to our normal discovery.
No,
Okay.
it's not cloud discovery, Ajay.
Okay.
It is cloud workspace. In a cloud workspace, they have a design like cloud errors, configuration errors, network errors, and credential errors.
Ah,
I'm
right.
saying that. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm saying that in configuration, I can see, when I click on the configuration, I can see IP switch, network switch, pattern failures.
Hmm.
So here my question is, I don't know which schedule is running the backend to causing
Hmm.
this error. So I want to know that which schedule is, from which schedule this error is causing based on IP.
Okay, that is again a tricky things basically to identify. So, if you have the IP address, the simple thing is just to run the quick discovery to get to see what errors exactly on that IP. Second thing, if you exactly nearly want to understand from which IP, from which schedule that is triggering, that I already mentioned, if you are, your team is configured that particular discovery schedule in a proper way, you can easily identify it. Like as I mentioned, I'm going to be use a standard naming template or naming things for my discovery schedules is where from discovery schedule name itself I'm able to find out the ranges, right? Key or subnet, right? So I can understand this particular IP belongs to that particular subnet, right? And based on that I can easily identify it, like this particular discovery schedule is discovering this particular IP. If it is not following properly the naming conventions or the locations to map that particular IP, then I think it's little tricky to identify which discovery schedule is triggering that one, because there is nothing comes in the discovery status table with that particular IP address or that particular informations only. So it's very tricky to identify. I hope you're getting me.
Okay, Jay.
Right. So just do simple quick discovery and see what the exact log says now, and based on that go for troubleshooting. Simple. Okay. Any other questions, guys, from anyone else?
Ajay, just one query.
Mhm.
What is the relationship of key pair, CMDB key pair table and this application discovery? Any
Come again. Key pairs.
key pair table and
Uh,
application discovery? Do we have any relationship between CMDB key pair value table and this application discovery?
so that we tag-based discovery basically, right? So application discovery, as I mentioned, if I'm not getting wrong, right? So might be correct me. So that's basically key pair is the tag based table, tag base where we are just putting the tag and pairing on it,
Right,
and
right,
based on that we can run our tag based service mapping. Simple,
right.
right? So that's the table where which comes in the picture to, defining the tags, defining the values, and on top of it we are going to be create the service mapping families and other things, tag based service mapping families basically, and then we can utilize to be create the tag based service maps, this particular creative.
Okay.
So that comes in tag based service mapping basically. Yes. Okay, any other questions, guys? Any other things from your side? Okay, then I think we are good for today. We'll connect tomorrow. As I mentioned, we'll start related some things related to the patterns, modifications or customizations or creation. So little bit be ready and be available. Till the time, thank you so much. Have a good day. If you don't have any other questions.
Thanks, Ajay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sure. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.